Welcome to the lounge, where we challenge accountability. I'm Urban, and we don't do surface talk here. We use emotional intelligence, thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Every beat a question, every bar a lesson. I turn the mic to a mirror, life's a session. Urban in the mix, soul and intellect blend. We ain't just talk truth, we set trends from Dallas to the world. We break that ceiling, no clout, just facts, that's the real feeling. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Trap drums drop, but the message don't fade. Every thought sparks like a hand grenade. Faith, pain, love, and drive all collide, that's how minds revive. All collide, that's how minds revive. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Mind open wide like a city skyline. Every topic shaped by design. The urban lounge where ideas ignite. Late night thoughts under podcast lights. Every episode of thought design. The urban lounge where iron sharp iron. We build from the ground like truth rewiring. Can't fake what's felt when the mic's ignited. If you listening now, you already invited. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking.
Warning, the following image and/or content may be disturbing, offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Real quick community guidelines before we start the show. Now I want y'all to know that this is a space for respectable, thought-provoking conversations. We encourage intelligent discussions, different viewpoints, and respectable debates. Disagree if you want, but do it with substance and respect. Self-promotion is not allowed. This is not your billboard. Links, spam, and promotions in the comments or in live chat will be blocked immediately. Distasteful trolling, insults, or bad faith behavior will not be entertained. You will be blocked and banned. No warnings, no back and forth. Finally, y'all will notice that the subscriber mode is on. It is only for 5 minutes, y'all. 5 minutes. That way we can protect the integrity of the show and also protect the integrity of people who actually want to comment in the comment section faithfully. All right. We're here to think, challenge ideas, and grow, and not derail the conversation. If you're here in good faith, then I welcome you. Y'all enjoy the show. Salute everybody, salute. Happy Monday to y'all. Happy Monday to y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Urban Lounge podcast, man. Shoot, man, we got my girl Constance in the building again. What's up with it, buddy? Shoot, one of my good old moderators from day one. Appreciate you for always pulling up when you can. Appreciate that a whole lot. Got my moderator in here, Lionel, as well too. Sugarverse, what's up with it? What's up with it? Appreciate it. Hey, appreciate that as well too, Constance. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that special effect. Shout out to everybody else who are in the building as well too on this fine Monday night. Do me a favor, y'all, as y'all come into the lounge tonight, y'all make sure you hit the thumbs up to support the channel. It let YouTube know that you want more of this good old content that Urban be putting out. as often as he can, especially during these live streams as well too. So make sure you are supporting that endeavor too. You know what I mean? Now I'm the type of person, I don't ask for a lot. I don't ask for I don't be asking, for like super checks or anything like that, because I believe that the work that I put out, it should influence you to want to do things like that. But I'm not try to make you do things that you don't want to do. You know what I mean? So that's that. But appreciate y'all. Hey, Willie Green, what's up with it, man? Salute to you. Dallas Reading, what's up with it? Thank you for supporting the show. Appreciate you. But yeah, we got a really good show tonight. We are continue talking about Men's Mental Health Month, because I don't know what the deal is. I honestly do not know what the deal is. I don't know why a lot of other content creators is not talking about Men's Mental Health Month like how the way they're supposed to. You know what I mean? Because it just keep getting looked over. Now, I get it. I understand there's other things that's happening. Last week it was the Carmelo Anthony bullcrap that was happening. Notice that I haven't even touched on it. I'm not even talking about it. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to cover that at all, period. You know what I mean? Because I believe it just is what it is, So that's that with that, Funny part about it is that I was considering doing a podcast episode talking about it until, I started thinking about it real hard. I was like, nah, I'm not going to touch it. Because we got more important things to talk about than, the Carmelo Anthony situation. All right. My most important thing that I want to talk about is with you brothers, because I want to make sure that I'm putting out content to help you progress in life. That's the priority right now, more important than, all this other stuff that's going on, So if you're here over here for this reason, thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting the channel, supporting the lounge, you know what I mean? So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this topic for tonight, man, because there's going to be another topic that's going to be self-reflection, and my goal for tonight is for you to learn the errors of my ways. Because I got a lot of stories, man. I done learned a whole lot throughout my life, man. I done been through a whole lot in my life, and through these lessons, you know what I mean, it becomes opportunities. It becomes opportunities where I can be able to teach and help you out. You know what I mean? So we're gonna do what we do, man. We're gonna want to talk about this tonight, man, because I believe that what I'm gonna share with you tonight is gonna literally save y'all life for real. What I'm talking about tonight, glad you asked. We're going to talk about tonight how me being a good man destroyed me. Not nearly destroyed me, not halfway destroyed me, but literally it destroyed me. Me being a good man literally destroyed me. It did. It destroyed me to a point where I literally had to change my whole being, my whole self. I had to literally become a brand new person. And I believe on the content that I'm going to share with you, it's going to be beneficial for us. Carlos Level, so with a salute, brother. But I believe that the content I'm going to share with you tonight, it's going to be beneficial. It's going to help you out for real. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this content tonight, man. Once again, I want this content to to resonate with you as well too, because I believe this is something that we go through all the time. Hey, Ronald, what's up with it, brother? Man, sure, what's up with it? I know you've been busy, man. I need to get in contact with you, brother. I know you've been busy, but shout out to you as well too. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk about it tonight. Let's talk about it tonight, because tonight it's not just going to be like one of them teaching episodes that, I enjoy doing, but this is going to be a reflection thing. So we're going to talk about my own experiences being taken advantage of, okay? Because I believe that being a good man was being always, being available. It was being, always helping people out. It meant always sacrificing, and it meant always putting others first. Now, I want y'all to understand that most of my life, I consider myself as a good man. I work hard. I stay loyal. I help people. I gave people the benefit of the doubt. Try my best to be dependable. Try to be responsible. I even try to be understanding as well too. And just looking back at it, right, I realized that many of the struggles I experienced weren't because I was a good man. They happened because I confused goodness with self-sacrifice. I also confused goodness with approval seeking. I confused goodness with never saying no. I confused goodness with allowing people unlimited access to my time, my energy, my resource, and most of all, my peace. But I want y'all to understand tonight that over time, it came with consequences. Now, these consequences affected my mental health. Not only affected my mental health, but it affected my relationships. And to be honest with you, it affected my outlook on life altogether. So tonight we're going to reflect on my journey. We're going to reflect on where did it go wrong. We're also going to reflect on how I learned from it. We're also going to reflect on what it cost me and how I eventually transformed those experiences into discipline. Because I know I'm not the only man who has gone through this. I know I'm not. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this content, man, because I got a lot of information I want to share with y'all. And once again, this is for my goal to make sure that you don't follow the same footsteps that me get into these same errors as I did. Learn from me. Learn from my mistakes so you could be a better person, to be a better man. Learn. And I'm going to get to the comments as well, too, because I see y'all comments, brothers. I see y'all. Appreciate y'all. But we're going to get into it. Now, I want y'all to understand this. When I was growing up, right, I believe a good man was somebody who took care of everybody. I believe that it was somebody who showed up. I believe that it was someone who sacrificed. And I believe that it was someone who put others first. And be honest with you, while there's truth to that, I eventually learned that there was something missing. There was something missing. Do y'all know historically a good man wasn't simply a nice man? If we look back in ancient culture, right? Through ancient culture, they have valued courage and competence and discipline and leadership and wisdom, self-control and protection, right? And then a man was judged by his ability to fulfill his responsibilities. But it wasn't by his ability to make everyone comfortable, though. Even ancient philosophers understood something many modern men have forgotten about. And that thing is a man can be kind and dangerous at the same time. Now, a man also can be compassionate and still enforce boundaries. And a man can love people and still tell them no. My brothers, that's what strength under control look like. You know, I'm thinking about biblically, right? You know, different scriptures in the Bible paint a similar picture. Where I'm reminded about what's that dude named Moses? I'm reminded of Moses when he confronted Pharaoh, right? They considered him as a good man. I'm also reminded about David when he confronted Goliath. What about Nehemiah when he rebuilt the walls while carrying weapons? We can even consider Jesus when he was confronted with corruptions. A matter of fact, I just thought about this. There's a scripture that I cite a lot, through my everyday life. And I actually teach this scripture to my young sons, all right? I tell them this. The scripture is, let your yes be yes and your no's be no's. And that comes from Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. Now, the reason why I carry that scripture in my heart, and I also teach my sons about that, is because I teach them that as a man, you got to make your yes be yes and your no's be no's. Meaning that whatever you say, you have to commit to that, no matter what. But at the same time, the no be no part is setting boundaries, meaning that you're not being no simp. You're not being a sucker. You're setting boundaries for yourself to where you telling people, no, I'm not going to do this certain thing. And then I let them know that it's okay to tell a person no, including me. No, looking back on, I had the service part down, right? I had the sacrifice part down as well too, and the loyalty part. But I lack discernment. I also lack boundaries as well too, y'all. And that's what had cost me. Now keep in mind, I didn't learn all this stuff until later on in life. But earlier through the stage that I'm talking to y'all about tonight, I didn't know it at all, period. And I know many of you right now, y'all listening to this, right? And I know that many of you probably are in a stage right now where you believe that being a good man is all these things that I just mentioned earlier. But deep down inside, you're doing all these certain things, but deep down inside, you feel like that people are taking advantage of your goodness or your niceness, your kindness. Deep down inside, you believe while you're doing this, it's sacrificial, that eventually you're going to get rewarded for it. But it never happens. To be honest with you, brothers, tonight, that's the trap that we fall for. I fell for the trap. I fell for it. And the matter of fact, one of the hardest truths I had to accept was that I wasn't always trying to be good. To be quite transparent with y'all, sometimes I was trying to just simply be accepted. I wanted people to just appreciate me. I wanted people to recognize my sacrifices. I wanted people to see me as this dependable man. I also wanted people to see me as being valuable to them. But looking back, there were times when I believe helping people will automatically create loyalty. But in reality, it doesn't. There were times I believe being patient will automatically create respect as well too. But I learned it doesn't. There was also times I believe sacrificing for people will automatically make them appreciate me. But guess what? I learned it doesn't. One of the most painful lessons I learned is that many people appreciate what you do for them. But that doesn't automatically mean that they appreciate you. Because I had learned that them are two completely different things. Now, for our first clip tonight, I want you to listen clearly to Trill, all right? Listen to his perspective on being nice, all right? Let's listen up.
You got to stop putting yourself in positions for people to even think they can play with you. Like to even think that they can play with you. That thought should never cross their mind. Some of us just too nice. Some of us just too giving, too considerate. So where we lay ourselves on the line for everybody around us, man. Damn near to where they feel like that should be warranted or like that's a given. And they take advantage of that. And then we looking back like, damn, I did all this for that person, man.
Freddie, salute, welcome.
That's because you set yourself up to be played with. If it ain't no reciprocity being given, we shouldn't be going all out for nobody. I don't care who it is. Friend, family, nobody. The reciprocity got to be there. Or is you putting yourself in position to be played with? You giving and giving and giving and giving. But when it's time for you to receive, what they at?
Balance, salute.
What you getting in return? Stop putting yourself in positions to be played with. There's nothing wrong with doing for people. There's nothing wrong with being generous. But there got to be some kind of reciprocity. Or is you setting yourself up for failure?
See, this is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. Now, once again, I was letting you know that I was doing all these things because I wanted to be respected. I wanted to be honored. I want people to, appreciate my endeavors and all these different things, right? But one of the biggest things that I was missing in a equation was that I needed to set healthy boundaries. And also, I needed to understand that when you give, it should be given back to you. But when I was dealing with this being a good guy, I was discovering that I was overly giving, overly compensating. All because I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to feel accepted. I want to feel like I was a part of something. I carried the same ideology through my relationships. I carried the same ideology through my professionalism as well too, for my career paths. Even with my social circles, I carried the same thing. Even religiously, I carried the same ideology in the past. I did. But while I was doing that, I was discovering that everybody, it was so weird. It was like everybody had seen my efforts that I was doing right, and they just literally took advantage of it. Literally took advantage of it. There's a research, right? There's a research on self-silencing and people-pleasing behavior, right? That has consistently found association with depression, anxiety, I believe emotional exhaustion, low self-worth, and relationship dissatisfaction. Okay. Now, when I first encountered this research, it hit me hard. And the reason why is because I realized I wasn't simply helping people. I was literally abandoning myself. I was suppressing my own needs, suppressing my own frustrations, and suppressing my own boundaries. And eventually that suppression started showing up in other areas of my life. I wonder, can y'all relate to that? Can y'all relate to that? Let's consider this next clip.
I got played so many times for being nice.
Listen to me.
For being nice.
That's not why you got played.
Give it to me. Give me the lesson.
You got played because they didn't want to believe it.
Damn, what you mean? Please expound.
People don't want to believe that people are really nice. People don't want to believe that people are really kind. All of us are struggling with our humanity. All of us got to guard up with everybody. So there's always people that are, no matter how good you treat them. Matter of fact, some people, the better you treat them, the worse they behave. Ooh. They don't want to believe it's real. You can't be real. No, everybody's up. What do you mean you? And then they try to find ways to push those buttons to bring that negative side of humanity out of you.
Now, did y'all understand what they were saying in that conversation? Yes, there were what we call bad actors out there, right? There are people who are purposely out there to do harm to not only themselves but to other people as well too. But if you are being the nice guy, right, you tend to not have that discernment. Okay? Meaning that you're not going to have that discernment to discern these type of bad actors out there. You're going to think that everyone deserves your kindness, that everyone deserves your respect, that everyone deserves your gifts or whatever it is that you're trying to give out while being this nice guy or this nice person. Once again, I had the same mindset, this same ideology until I learned the hard way. It's something about the need for approval. Well, would y'all agree? It is something about the need for approval. I mean, if we're being honest, one of the biggest problems wasn't what other people was doing, right? When I think about it, the biggest problem was me. I spent years seeking for approval, sometimes in relationships, sometimes in family situations, sometimes even professionally and spiritually. I wanted to be the good guy so bad. I wanted to be the reliable guy, the responsible guy, the dependable guy. I wanted this image so bad. And because of that, I tolerated a lot of things that I shouldn't have tolerated. I ended up overlooking things that I shouldn't have overlooked. And yes, I ignored a lot of red flags that shouldn't been ignored. Now, y'all should be asking yourself why, Urban? Why did you do that? Why was your mind like that? Why? I'm glad you asked. It's because deep down inside, I was afraid of disappointing people. And that's the God honest truth. I was afraid of disappointing people. Here's another thing too. I was afraid of conflict. I was definitely afraid of rejection. I was afraid that if I stopped giving, people would stop valuing me. Don't that kind of sound familiar? I mean, if people only value me when I'm giving, then they don't actually value me to begin with. Now that I think about it. All they wanted was just access. And I believe a lot of us brothers, we carry the same ideology of being a good guy, of being a good man. Now, brothers, I want to bring this to your attention as well, too. If you have this ideology that I'm talking about right now, part of it you could blame yourself for, but another part of it is because of your upbringing. It's because of social status. Because even according to social status, right, every person, every woman, they believe that this is what men supposed to do. They're supposed to be good. They're supposed to be sacrificial. They're supposed to avoid all these different red flag things because that's the duty of the man. But I'm telling you, that's bullshit, brothers.
That's bullshit.
It is. Because what I learned is that when you do things like this, you're literally undervaluing yourself. I'll put it to you this way, brothers. You should be seeing yourself as a very, very, very expensive vehicle. Since we all could relate to cars, right? You should be seeing yourself as a very, very expensive luxury vehicle. That only the elite person can purchase that vehicle. Now, if you are this special edition vehicle, right? Not everyone is going to have access to that vehicle because of what? Because they cannot afford that vehicle, no matter what. So I want y'all to think about this analogy clearly. If that be the case, then why are we allowing access to us like that? Why are we doing that? Why did I do that? The reason why I did that and the reason why many of us do that is because we undervalue ourselves. That we don't see ourselves as a expensive luxury vehicle. We don't. We still see ourselves as a damn Honda Civic. We see ourselves as a Toyota Corolla. And then we allow any person to have access to us. And it shouldn't be that way at all, period. Now, before we continue, we got a lot of content tonight, y'all, that we're going to uncover because I want y'all to understand what I'm saying clearly because my goal is once again to share this story with y'all so it could help you, okay? Because once again, this stereotype that's out there that's saying that men's supposed to be a good man because you're supposed to put up with all this bullshit, that is not us at all, period. That doesn't make you a man, period. What it leads to is you becoming a beta.
Beta!
What it leads to you is becoming a simp and a sucker. What it leads to is you being taken advantage of. That's where it leads to. And I'm telling you tonight, brothers, that is not your identity at all, period. It's not. But let me go to the comments real quick, and we're gonna dive deeper into this. All right. Once again, appreciate everybody who tuned into the stream. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up to support this channel. Tonight we're talking about how being a good man had destroyed me. Okay. Because this is one of these topics that people don't want to be honest about themselves. But it's okay. I'm here. I'll be honest about myself and tell you the truth about it. All right. So Valence said this, my experience has taught me this. So many people are so damaged. They can only deal in toxic situations. And I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. There are indeed a lot of people out there who are damaged. A lot of people out there do need to be repaired. But the only thing about it is this. We run into this conflict, all right? And this conflict is this. The first thing is that sometimes the person who needs to be repaired, right, they don't seek out proper help so they can be repaired. That's the first part. The second part is this. Let's say if they are seeking out to get repair, right? The second part of this is that they don't find people who qualify for their help. Meaning that the people who they seek out to help them get repair, they're not even qualified to repair them. So it becomes a conundrum. Would y'all agree to that? So across the board, right? All of us, including the people who are professional at this, needs to be repaired. That they are indeed damaged and they do need to be repaired. Loyalty comes 100 when you tell a woman no and she still respect you. Facts, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Zenoniza, what's up with it? Salute. Welcome. She just spoke facts. I remember down on 50/50 episode. Yeah. She did. The seeking validation start from childhood or adulthood. With me personally, right, if we're reflecting this on me, my seeking validation started from my childhood. To be honest with you, right? To be quite honest with you, I believe that started with a lot of us. I believe that it started with a lot of us, with our childhood. Because at one point in time, we all were seeking some type of validation while we were young. Now, the problem that we run into is that what type of validation were you receiving? And if that validation was beneficial for you in your upbringing. Now, my particular situation, that validation wasn't necessarily beneficial. Now, my parents believed that it was beneficial due to their personal ideology and worldview beliefs. Right? But when it applied to me and I applied it to my particular life, it wasn't beneficial. It wasn't beneficial at all, period. Bunner, what's up with it? Salute, bro. Now, this next clip that we're going to watch, right? What's up with it? This next clip that we're going to watch, right? I'm going to let y'all know straight up. This clip is an AI clip, okay? It's an AI clip, so don't trip about it, all right? Don't say, oh, it's an AI. Don't freak out. It's an AI clip. But however, I want y'all to focus on the actual message that's being said on this particular clip, all right? So let's listen up.
Listen, being nice ain't the problem. The problem is you keep explaining yourself to people who already decide to use you. Be kind, yeah, but make it expensive. Protect your time and your peace like it's money.
I used to think being nice meant folks would respect you more. But some people don't see kindness as character, they see it as access. And if you don't set a line, they'll walk right over your time like it's free.
Here a real rule. Don't do for people what they won't do for you twice. Say no sooner, say it clean, and don't feel bad. Your word is your brand. And boundaries, the only reason your kindness don't turn into a weakness.
So I did research, right? There's another research I did on. I found this article. It's talking about self-determination theory. Okay. It's talking about self-determination theory. Now it's developed by DC and Ryan, and it suggests that psychological well-being improves when people operate from internal values rather than external approval. Now, what does that mean? That means that the more your identity depends on being liked, the easier you become manipulated. Now, once again, the more your identity depends on being liked, the easier you become manipulated. When I realized this, right, this lesson had changed my life. And it's because I realized I have built parts of my identity around being needed, not around being respected. And those are two things that are not the same. Okay? Since we're having this conversation, right, and I know many of you gentlemen was waiting on me to go here, and I'm fixing to go here. Let's talk about it. What about us dealing with women? As a matter of fact, what was my lessons that I learned when I was dealing with women when I was in the dating market? How did that look for me? Now, one of the most painful lessons I learned was when I was in relationships. Because there were situations where I believed my loyalty, my support, my patience, and my consistency would eventually produce the outcome that I wanted. I thought being a good man would automatically make me a priority. I also thought that being available would create appreciation. And I also thought that showing up consistently would create value. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There were times where, it did. Depending on the situation. But many times it didn't. It didn't at all. Because there were situations where my willingness to help became expected rather than appreciated. And my availability became assumed rather than being respected. Even my support became something people consume rather than value. And then, as I look back on it, right, some people absolutely took advantage of that. They did. But I got to hold myself accountable as well too. And the reason why is because in these situations, right, I stayed. I know the reality. I invested in situations that weren't producing healthy outcomes. And that's on me. It's on me. One of the biggest mistakes men will make is this: believing that effort automatically creates attraction. But God is my witness. It doesn't. It doesn't at all, period. Now, the effort without mutual interest often creates frustration, brothers. And many men spend years in situations that should have ended months earlier or even sooner than that. And it's not because we were stupid, but it was because we are hopeful. This is the reason why I say that men love unconditionally and women love out of conditions. Simply because we be hoping for the best. We be hoping for the best outcomes. We be hoping for the best solutions, especially in relationships. We really do. Because we believe that our hope can be powerful. But I had learned this, brothers. I had learned that hope without reality can become self-destruction for real. It really can. It really can.
I'm the kind of man, I will give you my last, but if you take advantage of my generosity, I have no problem acting like we never met. And I need you to understand that those two sentences are not in conflict. They're the same man, the same character, the same value system operating in two totally different directions depending on how you handle what I give you. Because my generosity isn't weak. It was never weakness. It's a decision I make about people. I've decided who are worth it. And decisions can be revised when new information comes in. Most people confuse a giving man for a limitless man. They mistake his kindness for blindness. They think that because he keeps showing up, covering, providing, pouring in, that he doesn't have a line. Oh, he has a line. He just doesn't announce it. He doesn't warn you. He doesn't negotiate. The day you cross it, you'll just notice that something shifted and you can't get it back. A good man's generosity is one of the rarest things in the world. It's not transactional. He's not even keeping the score. He's giving because that's who he is, not because he expects a return. But the moment that you weaponize that, and the moment that you see his giving as an opportunity instead of a gift, you didn't just lose access to what he provides, you lost access to him. And those are two very different losses. The most expensive thing you can do to a generous man isn't asking for too much. It's making him regret giving at all, because once a man like that closes the account, it don't reopen. There's no negotiation. There's no second pitch. There's no version of sorry that reverses what you showed him about yourself. I give from character. I cut from wisdom, and I don't confuse the two.
Now, I want y'all to understand this, right? I want y'all to understand that this is the reason why I said what I said about how the way men operate. Why I say that men are unconditional and women tend to be conditional. Because when we care about people, right, when we truly care about people, we automatically will give our all to make sure that that person is happy. Now, this generosity, right? It's great. It's wonderful. But at the same time, we end up lacking having boundaries, because sometimes we'll even sacrifice our own boundaries in order to make this thing happen. But brothers, we cannot do that. There has to be a balance. It has to be a balance where we give, and we also should have the expectation of receiving too. You know, when I was in ministry, right, I had used the analogy of giving, right, where I had my fist open, right, where I had my fist closed, right, and I had somebody to try to get whatever it was that was out of my hand, right. So I had, matter of fact, what I think I had like a coin or something in my hand, right, and I asked one of the audience to try to pull that coin out of my hand, but I had my fist tight. And so I had my fist tight, and that person couldn't receive what I had. And the reason why is because my fist was closed and I was keeping it closed. The reason why I'm using this analogy is because that's the same concept of what we as men tend to do. Now, we're good with giving, right? But when it comes to not only giving or receiving, we keep our hands closed where we can't even receive what to come to us, because our fist is closed, our hand is closed. But we shouldn't be that way, period. As much as we give out, we should be receiving. As much input, there should be an output, or much output, there should be an input. That's how the way the law works, or as you say, universal law. That's how the way universal law works. But you also have the ability to prevent that law from working if you're not willing to participate in it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had to learn this the hard way. I used to think that being a good person, you're always available, you're always helping, you're always understanding. But what I realized is the more valuable that you are, the more people try to take advantage of you. Respect starts the moment you stop being easy to be used. The moment you stop being convenient for people, that's when the real respect begins. The truth is, people only respect the boundaries that you enforce.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. I had to learn that people will respect your boundaries. But the one thing about it is that you have to create the boundaries. You have to set the boundaries. And you have to give the expectation of the boundaries as well too. And you can't be afraid to set them. Because that's what happened with not only me, but a lot of us brothers, right? We get afraid about the end result. We get afraid about the rejection. Let's say that you set a boundary where you're like, look, I'm no longer going to be the good guy. I'm going to, have these certain boundaries for my mental health, for my purposes, right? And you start doing that. And then immediately when you do that, you start receiving all these rejections over and over and over again. Now, you feel like that you need to be reverted back to factory default settings because you want to be accepted again. But you have to get over this acceptance part. You have to get over that. Because if you don't get over that, then that acceptance part is going to put you back in that situation where you end up being taken advantage of. While we having this conversation, right? Let's talk about family. Let's talk about family. There were periods of my life where I felt like my role was to solve problems. What's interesting about it is that I still feel to this day that that's my role, to help solve problems. I guess it is part of who I am, But if somebody needed my help, right, I make sure that I was there. If somebody needed my support, I make sure I was there. Even if somebody needed my resources or even advice, I made sure I was there. And over time, I began noticing something. I noticed that being needed is not the same thing as being valued. Let me say that again. I noticed that being needed is not the same thing as being valued. Because many people appreciate what you can provide to them, right? But only few people appreciate who you actually are. And so I started noticing that. I started noticing that some relationships seem strongest when I was giving all the time. Not only when I was giving, but when I was helping and providing and sacrificing, right? But I also noticed this. The moment when I pull back, the moment when I start creating boundaries, the moment when I said no, and I kid you not, that changed everything. Suddenly, people start saying that I'm different. Suddenly, people start saying that you change. Oh, here's a good one. Suddenly, people say that you're being selfish. But I want to tell y'all that nope. What changed wasn't me. What changed was the assets. And one of the hardest lessons I had to learn was this, that some people become upset when you establish boundaries because they benefited from your boundaries. They benefited from you, in other words. They benefited from you, so they became mad about it. Now, like I told y'all earlier, I was in this whole acceptance phase, right? I want you to accept me. You can imagine that when I realized that, right, it became painful. It became painful. It became painful to me. And I'm pretty sure that it became painful to other people as well, too. Fields Jr. was so with. Salute, brother. But I want y'all to understand that it was necessary. And the reason why is because it forced me to stop measuring my relationships by history. It started measuring relationships by behavior. And I believe that this is important for us, brothers, that we got to do the same thing, that we got to start measuring our relationships based on behavior, based on action. Because we can agree this. We can agree that history tells you where you've been, right? But however, behavior tells you where you're going. And to be honest with y'all, once when I understood that, I started seeing people very, very different. Very different. Once again, shout out to everybody in the building. Tonight episode, we're talking about how being a good man literally destroyed me. All right. And this episode is a self-reflection episode because I want y'all to learn about my personal anecdotal experience of dealing with this, all right? To help you as a man to make better choices and better decisions and better outcomes. Because I believe that you shouldn't be a good man based on social norms. You shouldn't be a good man because you're with a woman and this is what she wants you to do so she can feel good about herself. No. You shouldn't be a good man for none of them reasons. You should be a good man is because that is part of your moral compass. That is a part of who you are. Not because people are shaping you to be this way, but you shape yourself to be this way. Let's consider another clip for this conversation, all right?
You can tell so much about a person by this one thing. Do they take advantage of people because they know that person cares about them? When you really look at it, it's predatory behavior because every interaction is strategic. You know what else is strategic? Hunting. And this dynamic exists everywhere. You see it with men who play women, women who play men. You see it in business, you'll see it in family. It's everywhere. That is such an important question to know about a person. How much do you value the people that value you? Having someone love you for who you are, it's a blessing. And it's even more of a blessing when someone loves you so much that they're willing to go out of their way for you. If you knew that a person found you that special, wouldn't that make you want to do more for them? Wouldn't that make you value them a little bit more? Some people don't think like that. They see you do something for them and it's, Once I see you do it to someone else, once you do it to me, I can never trust you again because that tells me everything I need to know about you as a person. It's very informative.
So I want y'all to understand this. I want y'all to understand that, once again, it's nothing wrong with doing things because it's in your heart to do it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I have I mentioned this before over here on the lounge, right, about chivalry. Okay. I mentioned that chivalry in this modern day time is, in fact, dead. Okay. But I also mentioned as well, too, that you should be chivalrous according to the people who are in your immediate circle who are work you being chivalrous towards. whoever that look like to you. I also mentioned that you shouldn't be chivalrous to everybody or be this good person to everybody, because everybody do not qualify for that. And so I gave y'all the example of, when I go out, I don't open up the door for everybody or open up the door for every woman. Reason why I don't open up the door for every woman is because every woman do not qualify for my goodness. Every woman don't qualify for my chivalryness. And I want y'all to think about that, because there's a stigma out there where it's saying that you're supposed to be a gentleman, right, to all people, all women and everything, right? But I'm calling bullshit on that.
That's bullshit.
You shouldn't, because that is not your responsibility, because they don't deserve that access to you like that. But if you're giving it to it freely like that, a matter of fact, I just thought about this. This scripture. There's a scripture where Jesus said this. Jesus said, "Do not cast your pearls among swines." And the reason why is because them swines, all they're going to do is trample over it. In other words, if you give your goodness to people who don't qualify for that, all they're going to do is trample over it. They're just going to use and abuse it. They're going to give you attitude and push back. Case in point, there have been plenty of examples where brothers had came to me, and I have experiences as well too, where they told me, "Man, Urban, I was being nice and chivalrous to this woman, and she didn't even tell me thank you. I opened up the door for this woman, and she didn't tell me thank you." I have experienced that as well too. And the reason why is because you don't cast your pearls among swines. Simply put, because they don't qualify or they don't deserve that. Only certain people deserves that. Now, whoever you determine who deserve that, that is up to you to decide. But not everybody qualifies for that, brothers. So don't give that access to any old person. That's what I'm saying. Got another clip for y'all to consider. Listen up to this. Now, listen to this story. This story is very interesting because this is a common story that a lot of my brothers have experienced. As a matter of fact, this could relate to my previous divorce, all right? But let's listen to it.
So earlier this year, I ended a relationship and cut off an engagement from a great man. He was a good man. He loved God. He was a praying man. He loved and adored me. He was there for me. He was handsome. He was well educated. He didn't have any kids. He checked all the boxes. But there was still something missing. And I just knew that I could not go through with this marriage. There was just something that did not connect. I felt that there should have been a connection between he and I in order for me to be his wife. And so I cut off the engagement. And it was so difficult because he was a good man. It's easy when a person is not good. You can justify why you cut things off. But when a person is truly a good person, it's hard to explain. So I found myself trying to explain it to family and friends, and they were asking me a whole bunch of questions that, I could not say, exactly why, other than the fact that I just did not feel the connection. There was something that was not there that I needed to be there in order for this to be my husband. And so I stopped trying to explain it, and I just trusted my decision, and I went on. But then I got an epiphany, and it was just like, have you ever been shoe shopping and you saw a nice pair of shoes and it's like, ooh, I love the color. I love the style. The heel is the right size and it's a reasonable price. Like it's on sale and it's a good shoe. But then when you approach the shoe, you see that it's a size 6 and you need a size 7. Does it take away from the fact that the shoe is a good shoe? Does it take away from the fact that you're getting a great deal for the quality? Does it take away from the fact that the heel is still the right size? It doesn't matter. All of that still makes the shoe is still good. But if it's not your size, it's not the shoe for you. And so that is what I had to accept. Yes, he was a good man. But what that feeling was is that he was not a great fit for me. It didn't take away from who he was, but it was just confirmation that he was not a good fit for me. And that leads me to say that some of us are trying to force relationships when we know they don't fit. It doesn't mean that the person is not good. It doesn't mean that they are not good-hearted people. It just means that they're not a good fit for you. So free them up. Don't continue to settle for things that you know is going to cause discomfort in the future. Me purchasing a size 6 shoe when I wear a 7 is discomfort.
All right, before this other content creator rebuttal on this, right? What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about her perspective on this? All right. Now, her story was this, that she was in a relationship with a good man, right? She was in a relationship with a good man, all the way up to the point where this good man decided that he wanted to take it a step further and he wanted to marry her. He proposed to her. She accepted the engagement. Then all of a sudden, she started feeling some type of way. All of a sudden, she started feeling that maybe this man ain't a good man for me. Maybe he's not a good fit for me. What do y'all think about that? And it's a reason why I'm sharing this particular story, because this story is where, a lot of us brothers can relate to. Why? Why is this important? This is important because this woman literally was wasting this dude's time. Remember earlier when I started this show, I was telling y'all about there are a lot of people who are considered as bad actors out there? Remember I say that? Even in relationships, there are bad actors out there. They will pretend that they like you. They'll pretend that they care about you as well too. But if they don't see true value in you, then guess what? All they're going to do is use you, manipulate you, and cash you on the side, just like what this young lady had did with this gentleman. Now, it's a couple of things that we need to consider, right? Now, she made the choice. Like she was giving the analogy about the shoe and stuff, right? She made the choice to go ahead and purchase this size 6 shoe, knowing gonna well that she's a size 7. A matter of fact, let's be transparent about this. We as men know that women do this bullshit anyway. To where a matter of fact, if you ever been shoe shopping with a woman, there'll be a certain type of shoe and a certain type of brand of shoe that they really, really want, right? That they really, really want. And all they got is this one size, knowing good and damn well they can't fit this size. But guess what they do? They will purchase that size anyway. Why? Why do they do that? Why do they do that? The reason why they do that is due to their emotions. They see things emotion first, logic second. Now, this is not a horrible thing for women. It is how the way they're built. They just built this way. Where they are in their emotions first, logic second. Because logically, it'll make sense that you cannot get this shoe because it's not your correct size. But they use their emotion first. This is how I feel. Since I feel like this is something I really want, I'm going to go ahead and do it, even if it gives me discomfort. And this is how a lot of these type of women operate. They operate in the same ideology where they end up wasting this dude time because they feel good at the moment. Then the moment when that feeling goes away, then they consider it as no longer loving, no longer beneficial to them. Now, this lady, she had a rebuttal to this. I want y'all to listen to this.
So, look, this is the thing, y'all. I'm going to make it sweet and short because everybody want to know what I feel. Look, I feel like at the end of the day, you don't have to take a person through as much stuff as she took this man through. What do I mean? Why would you allow someone to be with you to the point where they have asked you to marry them? You're engaged with them. You've accepted a ring from someone that you feel is not a perfect fit for you. That's wasting this man's time when you could have sat down so he could have seen the good women that were standing behind you, because a lot of women nowadays say they want a good man. They need a good man. But then when they get that good man, they don't want that good man. See, I'm starting to believe that most people only want what they are physically attracted to or what they're financially attracted to. See, she said in this video that he had so many amazing qualities, but she could not tell you why he was not a good fit. Now, she tried to use the analogy that he was like a pair of shoes, that she was a size 7 and he was a 6 and he just didn't fit. Well, see, the difference is when you went to go get those pair of shoes, you could see the size. You can see that they was a 6. Now it's up to you if you want to squeeze your feet in them 6 knowing you a 7. But when you're talking about a human being, the emotion, the physical attraction, you have to know what it is that makes that person not a fit for you. And if you can't tell me what it is that makes that person not a fit for you, it makes me believe that you as a woman was the issue. Was he not physically attractive enough for you? Because evidently it wasn't the financial bearing, because you accepted the ring. So that lets me know that the ring was a nice size, that you wore it on your finger for a while. To the point where you said, damn, I'm going to get a ring back. Well, let me explain something to you. If you at the store and you see a size 6, you're not even taking it out the store. If you a 7, you're not even picking it up and putting your money on it, because you already know it don't fit. What I don't understand is, why did you take this man through so much anguish? Now when he gets with another woman, he's damaged, he's confused, and he feels like she's going to do the same shit that you did. You're going to string him along, you're going to break his heart, and he may not even propose to the next woman because of a woman like you. When you could have told that brother at the door, we are just not a good fit. You didn't have to waste his time, because time is money, and money is something nobody has time to waste. Not to mention, he must have loved you. If he gave you a ring, he gave you a ring. Girl, it's women like you that make me say, the fuck is wrong with you?
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I believe in this part of the segment, I want to talk about my crash out moment. Okay. I had a crash out moment. My own crash out moment, it didn't happen overnight, gentlemen. It happened years. Well, let me put it this way. It happened after years of experience that stack on top of each other. I started experiencing a lot of disappointments, a lot of betrayals, broken expectations, right? situations where I gave more than I received, situations where I invested more than I got back. Now, those of y'all who've been following this channel, I've been revealing to you about my framework, about my one model and stuff, right? Now, way before I got to my awakening phase, right, of the model, right, I didn't fully understand how much my mental health had been affected. I thought I was frustrated and I thought I was disappointed, right? I thought I was simply reacting to a few bad experiences, but what I eventually realized was that years of emotional suppression, unmet expectations, unresolved resentment, and constantly putting myself last had accumulated to something much more bigger. This song Crash Out wasn't really about this one person. It really wasn't about just one event. I discovered that it was the result of years and years and years of emotional debt that finally came to due. And I had reached a point to where I couldn't ignore the reality anymore. I couldn't keep pretending no more. I couldn't keep making excuses anymore for this. I couldn't keep blaming everybody else for this. And I sure as hell couldn't keep lying to myself anymore. That's when I ended up start having my awakening moment. That's the moment when the illusion died. That's the moment when I start seeing people and relationships and even myself differently. And to be honest with you on why I was going through this, it was definitely painful. Definitely painful. It really was. It literally affected my mental health, y'all. And I ain't lying. In fact, I want to be honest with y'all. If you're trying to be the good guy or be the good man, right, and you're doing it for all the wrong reasons, or you've been manipulated to be this way, this could, in fact, affect your mental health. Now, that is Men's Mental Health Month. And so I believe that this part is just as important. Because this is the part where many people never see. Because when I was going through all this, right, they seen my smile, they seen my productivity, they seen my reliability, right? They see me as being a provider and a helper and a leader, right? But what they didn't see is the emotional cost. They didn't see me being fatigued. They didn't see me being frustrated. They didn't see my disappointments. Definitely didn't see my resentment. These were moments where I questioned whether my sacrifices even mattered. Were those moments where I felt emotionally drained. Where there were moments where I even felt invisible. Because there were moments where I wondered if people actually value me or simply value what I can provide to them. And if I'm being completely honest to y'all, right, there were times where carrying everybody else's problems became heavier than carrying my own. And one thing I want y'all to understand, brothers, is this. I want y'all to understand is that being taken advantage of doesn't just affect your circumstances. It literally affects your mental health for real. And for years, I thought I was simply just tired because I'm tired. I thought I was stressed because of just part of who I am or part of being a man. Hell, I even considered taking vacations, but even vacations wasn't satisfactory enough for me. What I eventually realized was that consistently putting everybody else's needs ahead of my own was creating an emotional wear and tear. And every disappointment, it left a mark on me. Every betrayal, it left a mark on me as well too. Every situation was where I gave more than I received. Guess what? It left a mark on me. Every time I know my own needs to keep someone else comfortable, it left a mark. Eventually, those marks that I'm talking about, it became emotional weights. Where it started showing up as being chronic stress. It's showing up being on anxiety, irritability, emotional exhaustion, and loneliness and resentment. Hell, it came to the point where I became frustrated and also becoming emotional numb as well too, where it was to the point where I just stopped feeling it altogether. But what makes this especially dangerous is for men is that many of us are taught to just keep on moving, keep on going, keep on working, keep on producing, keep on providing, keep on being the performer. So instead of dealing with this emotional damage, we suppress it. Some of us will find distractions. Others will bury it. But we convince ourselves that it's okay. But I want to let y'all know that unresolved emotional pain doesn't disappear. It accumulates and eventually it demands attention, brothers. Now, for some of y'all, it may come out as anger. For some of y'all, it probably come out as depression. And for some of y'all, it may come out as isolation. And the worst case scenario is that it may come out as self-destructive behavior. And none of these are good, brothers. None of them. None of them. There's a wrong research behind this too, what I'm talking about, right? And this research is linked to emotional suppression, where it's deal with depression, anxiety, psychological distress, anger, and reduced relationship satisfaction, right? And what I learned is that carrying everybody else's burdens while ignoring your own eventually breaks something inside of you. And through my experience, no money, no success, no productivity or status can compensate for a man who has abandoned himself emotionally. And that is the God honest truth. That is the God honest truth. Got another clip for y'all. If y'all enjoying this content tonight, make sure you hit the thumbs up to support the channel. I'm going to address the comments in a little bit, but we got another clip that I want y'all to consider, all right?
Listen, women don't fall in love with you because you're a nice guy. Guys, please stop the nice guy
Old school, so with it, brother.
And I know that this is controversial, but I need you guys to hear me out. You see, women don't fall in love because you bought flowers. They don't fall in love because you answered every text in 30 seconds. Yes, we want you to respond to our text messages. They don't fall in love because you bent over backwards trying to make them happy. And before the comments go crazy, I'm not saying women don't want kindness. We want kindness. Like I said, we want you to respond to our text messages. But kindness is not what creates attraction. A lot of men confuse being nice with being attractive. They're not the same thing, guys. And here's where most men miss it. Women are not attracted to a man who abandons himself to keep her. No, stop abandoning yourself.
Women are attracted to a man who knows who he is. Think about the men who women obsess over. Like, think about it. It's rarely the guy who agrees with everything that she says. It's usually the guy who has his own opinion, his own mission, his own standards, his own life. Guys, you see the guy who isn't trying to impress her every second? That's the one that she falls in love with. Why? Because attraction isn't built on approval. No. It's built on emotional impact. You see, women fall in love when they feel something. Yes. Curiosity, excitement, just respect, admiration. We feel something. That's how women fall in love, guys. And here's the part that most men, I feel like you just miss it and you never hear. Listen, a woman wants to be chosen. She wants to be chosen. But she also wants to know that you're choosing her from a position of strength, not desperation. So please stop. And there's a huge difference. Listen, one man says, please don't leave me. And another man says, I care about you deeply, but I'm not going to abandon my values to keep anybody. Guess who the woman is more attracted to? You see, because one man creates pressure, the other creates respect. And the truth is, most women don't fall for the nicest man in the room. They fall for the man who is authentic enough to be himself, the man who is confident enough to stand 10 toes down, and the man who is emotionally mature enough to create genuine connection. And guys, if you really want to understand what makes a woman obsessed with a man, then listen. Trust me when I say this. It's not looks, it's not money, and it's not even confidence. It's an emotional experience that almost every woman secretly craves. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next video. So stay locked in.
All right, so let's talk about it, gentlemen. Let's talk about it. I want y'all to understand this. I want y'all to understand that before my current marriage that I'm in right now, prior before that, everything that she was saying, I did not do that. I didn't do it at all, period. The reason why I didn't do it is because I wasn't aware of it, nor I wasn't taught about this concept. So I was the man who wanted that reciprocation, but I was asking for it in the wrong way. I believe that as long as I was being nice by catering to women, by being what we call the beta, what we call being a simp or being a sucker, doing all these things for women, I believe that was the way to go in order to get the desired outcome. Interesting enough, for a lot of my brothers out there, they believe in the same concept as well too. As long as you be nice, as long as you cater to the women then they're going to respect you. But in reality, that's wrong. It's not correct at all. When you deal with an actual woman who has went through her personal journey of examining herself, what she did, all the self-work within herself, what she now appears to be, what a lot of y'all gentlemen are seeking after, which is a lot of y'all who are Christian, Y'all seeking after a woman who's resembled the Proverbs 31 wife, right? When she's doing all that work and she is on that level, she's going to be thinking differently. She's going to see you differently. She's going to value you not because what you could bring to the table, not because you have money, not even because of your looks. She's going to value you because of who you are. She's going to value you because of your character. She's going to value you because of your boundaries. She's going to value you because of your moral compass. When I learned this right, that's when I started reinventing myself. That's when I started unlearning a lot of stuff that I was taught in the past. It started relearning all over again. The moment when I did that and accept that and incorporate that into my being as a man, that's when I end up meeting my wife. And when I met her, she didn't care nothing about money. She didn't care about, what type of car I drove. She didn't care about none of that. But the thing that she values the most, even still to this day, the thing that she values the most is my character. She values the most who I am. She's attracted to that. She's in love with that. That's way more important than try to become a false idol or a false sense. That's way more important than that. So she valued that. And so what I'm telling you, gentlemen, is this. If this is your desire, if it's your desire to seek out a woman or seek out a woman who's going to be your actual helpmeet, I would encourage you to first re-examine yourself to see if you are, in fact, the type of man who's going to qualify for these type of women who really do exist out there. They really do exist. But you need to understand that these type of women who are out there, they're a diamond in the rough. You literally have to stumble upon them. It's not going to be easy to find these type of women out there. But while you're in that process, you should be re-examining yourself. You should be building yourself up. Like I always say over here at the lounge, when I'm teaching you about self-love, where you're building yourself up. You're building your character up. You're building your spirituality up. You're building your finances up. You're building everything up. Not because you're trying to find this woman, but you're doing it for yourself. You're building your character for you. Not to be accepted. Not so you can be the good guy. Not so you can be the good man. But you're doing it for something greater than that. A matter of fact, while we talking about this, I had learned something, gentlemen. I had learned that my faith has always been important to me, right? But one lesson that I had to learn was the difference between service and destruction. For a long time, I thought being a good man meant always giving. Always helping, always sacrificing, always forgiving, right? And then I started really paying close attention to, the scriptures, to biblical principles. I started noticing that in the Bible, Jesus, he served people, right? But as he served people, he also withdrew from people. Meaning that he created boundaries. I observed that Jesus loved people, but he didn't trust everyone. I learned that Jesus healed people, but guess what? He didn't heal everyone. I also learned that Jesus had forgive people as well too, but he still confronted wrongdoing. And guess what, gentlemen? That changed how I viewed manhood for real. Because I realized that many men have been taught a version of spirituality that focuses on sacrifice while ignoring discernment. Some men have been taught to never challenge anyone, to never confront anyone, to never disappoint anyone, and to never establish boundaries. But brothers, I'm telling you that that's not biblical. Because even Jesus had boundaries. Even Jesus walked away from people. Even Jesus confronted people. Even Jesus refused certain requests. Because the lesson I learned is that goodness without discernment creates opportunities for exploitation, meaning that people will take advantage of you. I learned that true faith should make a man become wiser and not make the man become easier to be manipulated. That's what I learned. Let's go into the comments real quick. We got a couple more clips I want to share with y'all tonight. Once again, if you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit the thumbs up to support the channel so you get more of this good old thought-provoking content, all right? Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody in the building right now. Henry, what's up with it, bro? Appreciate you. If I didn't shout you out. CB said this: women have many spirits in them from their multiple partners. I'd rather die alone. Now, I can agree with you on that. I can agree that there are a lot of soul ties. I can agree with you on that. But if it's your desire, once again, if it's your desire to be alone, I want you to know, and I want all my brothers to know, that it is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not this content creator who's going to sit up and tell you that, no, we should all be married. We need to all be married. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you that bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Because I know that many of us do not need to be married. And I also know and understand that many of us do need to be married. I understand that. So there's an old saying that if the shoe fits, then wear it. If it don't apply to you, then absolutely let it fly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. I'm one of them type of men, and I guess God built me this way. I don't know. But I want them type of man that I could be successful on my own, but I could be even more successful if I have a helpmeet with me. That's the type of man that I am. But there are other brothers out there who don't share that same sentiment with me. There are other brothers out there who could be very successful on their own, period. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the gifts, y'all. Appreciate it. There are brothers out there who could be successful on their own. And I'm telling you, it is nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. A matter of fact, don't let people tell you that there's something wrong with it, because it's not. It's not. And don't help people manipulate you to try to make you be a part of something that you're not. Like case in point, where people try to manipulate you to try to get married. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You probably have family or friends or whatever stuff, right? Say, you need to get married, son. You need to get married. When I'm going to get that grandbaby? Don't fall for that bullshit.
That's bullshit.
If it's not in you to be married, then don't get married. I don't care who said. I don't care if it's granny. I don't care who it is. If it's not meant for you to be married, then don't get married. Because it's better for you to not be married than to sit up here and get married and you be miserable as hell. I'm just saying. When I was straight up gangster in my 20s, women were all over me. 30s, I switched up and they weren't interested. Gangster life is short. Damn. God damn. No, I'm laughing at you, brother, because I can relate to that, man. I can relate to that. Because when I was out there on the streets, right, and I was doing my thing, right, Yeah, it was women that was on me, right? But here's something that's even more interesting. When I was after a single and I was doing my thing, it was women on me. But when I became married, that's when even more women start becoming interested and start, being on me and different things like that. I don't know why it's like that. And so now I have to be a complete asshole. That's probably one of the main reasons why I don't be chivalrous to people, especially women, because if I be chivalrous to them, they be thinking I'm trying to shoot my shot. But nope, I'm not. But good comment, man. I understand where you're coming from. Good comment, man. Weddings are expensive now. Back in the day, it was free. Jumping the bruise, that's fact. Based on African culture stuff, right? Yeah, it was simple. But now it's based on cost. Supply and demand. So I agree with you. A matter of fact, if you go back and watch my episode, I think almost like 2 months ago, I did an episode of a woman. This woman, she was known as the financial baddie or whatever the hell she called herself, right? And so what she ended up doing is this. She ended up getting married to this dude and got divorced to this dude a month later. Her wedding was very expensive. And so when we did a reaction to that, brothers, right, we had determined that she was there for the show. She was there for the show, for the ceremony and everything. So go back and watch that episode. It's on my channel. I'm on my channel. After I finish watching this, go back and watch that. It's on there. And y'all let me know what you think about that. But let us continue, brothers. Let us continue. We got another clip that I want y'all to consider for tonight. Let's listen up.
There's a moment most women do not catch. That's when the nice guy just stops being nice. No warning, no speech, no big argument. One day, he's just different. And that's what confuses a lot of people, because he wasn't complaining. He was just showing up, doing what he had to do, saying yes to keep everything running smooth. So when it shifts, it feels random, but it's not. It's been stacking every time he ignored what bothered him. Every time he chose peace over honesty. Every time that man overgave. And he just called it to, boom, being a good man. Until one day, something small happens. And for the first time, he doesn't override himself. He doesn't explain it away. He just sees it clear for what it is. And now, what he used to let slide, he's not doing that no more. What used to be automatic to people who did not deserve it, now they have to earn it. And that's where people start getting uncomfortable. And they will start the smear campaign, and they're going to say, oh, he changed, he's harder, he's less easygoing, he has gotten cold, he's heartless. No. He stopped confusing being tolerated with being respected. And once that clicks, he does not go back. He's not going back.
So let me bring this to your attention, brothers. And I'm pretty sure y'all are aware of this, all right? Y'all are aware that women set boundaries for us, right? Some of the boundaries that they set for us, we can all agree that it can be unrealistic expectations. We can agree to that, right? But the point I'm trying to make is this. If women are setting boundaries with us, wouldn't it be beneficial for us to set boundaries as well too, as men? What do y'all think? Because our boundaries should be our lifeline. It should be our lifeline. It should be something to where it's non-negotiable. If women have non-negotiables, shouldn't we have non-negotiables as well too? That's why I referenced earlier about the scripture about Matthew chapter 5 where Jesus was saying, don't cast your pearls among swines, right? So if that be the case, then we should be very protective of ourselves. We shouldn't be loose to just giving anything away to any type of woman. That woman should be able to qualify for whatever it is that you are giving. Now I shared this story plenty of times, but I'm sure it again because it applies to this. Now, when I was courting my current wife, right? What I did was this. I had built things up to a point. What I mean by that? Instead of casting all my pearls to her right then and there, I did this. I had tested her. I tested her to see where she's at. What did I do? Instead of me taking her right on date one to an expensive ass restaurant, we went to somewhere simple. One of our first dates, and I told you this, one of our first dates we went to was Church's Chicken. And ate some damn chicken. Our second date, we went to Subway. Why am I doing that? Because it still goes with the biblical principle that you don't cast your pearls among swines. Right? So you let them earn that. You letting them earn that opportunity. But this is where a lot of our brothers mess up. Because a lot of our brothers out there, they believe that they should lead with their pockets, that they should lead with their money. They should lead by being this good man to try to prove to them that you're a good man and you can provide and protect them and all that good old stuff. But I say that that's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
You have to examine them. You have to build it up to see if they qualify for that again. This is why a lot of brothers, including myself, when I was out there, we failed at this because we believe that our value is contingent on proving to them that we're worth it. Am I lying? And that's why we do it. Am I lying? That's why I did it in the past. That's exactly why I did it in the past, because I'm trying to prove my value to this woman. And come to find out she ain't even worth it. All she was just a bird, a bop. That's all she was. What we tend to want to also do this, gentlemen, is that we give value to people who don't need this value at all, period. And goes what I say all the time to us, gentlemen, is that we need to get past this looking at a woman at her looks and get stuck on that. We keep falling for this. I done fell for it in the past too, where you look at a woman based on her looks and you determine that her looks is her value. In your mind, like, oh man, she's fine, blah, 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 right? Man, I can't wait to smash her. That type of bullshit, right? But we don't examine her character or anything like that. And guess what? That's how we end up getting caught up. Am I lying? We're not getting caught up. But we shouldn't do that. Now, the looks is initial. The looks are initial. Once again, I want y'all to understand this clearly. The looks are initial. What do I mean by that? It is okay for you to be attracted to a woman because that is your human nature to be that way. But however, after the attraction, it should be you using your logic and reasoning, meaning that if you're truly interested in this woman, if you truly want to be invested into this woman, you look beyond the looks and start examining her character, which I call vetting. You start vetting out her character to see if she truly qualified for what you're going to be bringing. And I'm telling you, once again, that vetting will literally save your life as a man if you do it properly. And when I'm saying vetting, I'm still telling y'all that you're literally having a conversation with this woman to see where she's at, where her mind is at. Not this stupid bullshit that we be talking about. Like, hey, what do you like to do for fun? I like to do that for fun. No. You need to be finding out her family history. You need to be finding out her worldview, what she believe in, what she don't believe in. Need to find out how she deal with conflict. Does she know how to deal with conflict resolution? You need to ask the tough, open-ended questions to examine and see where she's really at. When you do that, it will save you a lot of heartache. Because at that point, it started disqualifying a lot of women who's not on that level. And that's why I learned. Kid y'all now, I learned that lesson. Kid you not. I want to jump to this real quick. Not these. All right, I want to jump to this. Listen to this clip.
Let me tell you what I've realized. What I realized is that a lot of nice people get taken advantage of. And the moment that, they don't allow anyone to use and abuse them, or they start setting boundaries, or they put their foot down to end the foolery, now they're labeled as a mean person or the villain. No, they're the villain or the mean person because you can no longer use them. You can no longer take advantage of them. They have decided to set boundaries and not allow you to take their kindness for weakness. That is literally the gray area about life that people don't talk about. How the nice person becomes a villain once they no longer allow people to use and abuse them. Let's make this make sense, because I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Let's talk about it, gentlemen. Let's talk about it. I want to talk to y'all about being the villain, because this is something that I had to learn. I had to learn to be the villain. Now, I know some of your brothers, I know some of y'all are like, what the hell, Urban? Be the villain? What the hell are you talking about, bro? I learned that we need to go past this being a good man phase, right? And be the villain. But however, be the villain with discipline. Now, one of the hardest lessons I learned was becoming comfortable being the villain in somebody else's story. Not because I became cruel, not because I became bitter, not even because I became manipulative or abusive, but because I stopped giving people unlimited access to me. I started saying no. I started enforcing boundaries. I started vetting out people more carefully. I stopped apologizing for standards that protected my peace. And guess what, brothers? Something interesting happened. People who benefited from my lack of boundaries suddenly became uncomfortable. People who benefited from my constraints and my availability suddenly became frustrated. People who were used to unlimited access to me suddenly viewed me differently. Some people thought I had changed. Some people even thought that I had become selfish and difficult. Maybe y'all experience this too, but the moment when you stop being convenient, people start questioning your character. Am I lying? The moment you stop sacrificing yourself and start questioning your motives, people start questioning your integrity. But here's what I learned. I learned that you cannot become a disciplined man while remaining everybody's favorite person. And I'm saying it again. You cannot become a disciplined man while remaining everybody's favorite person. At some point, gentlemen, growth requires disappointment. At some point, leadership requires confrontation. And yes, at some point, self-respect requires boundaries. And once when you reach that point, somebody is going to call you the villain. And I say this, good. Let them call you the villain. Do it. Because you understand this. You understand that when you be called a villain, you're not saying, well, you don't know that you are toxic, because you know you're not toxic. You know that you're not hateful. You know that you're not being abusive. You know that you're not revenge driven. Because you understand that that's not your strength. You understand that all these things is unresolved trauma. The villain I'm talking about is different. I'm talking about becoming the villain in someone else's story because you refuse to be exploited. You develop standards. You develop boundaries. You develop discipline and discernment. And the people who benefited from your weakness suddenly loses access. That's the villain I'm talking about. Now, they may reference back to talking about, well, you may be talking about the type of villain that hurt people. No. You the villain who has standards. You the villain who have peace. You the villain who have boundaries. You the villain who have discernment. And the disciplined villain filters relationships, meaning that he vets them out. And facts, rather be called a villain than the victim. Facts, absolutely, I agree. Absolutely. A matter of fact, I did research on it. I'll be researching everything, y'all. But there's a research that's talk about assertiveness, right? Assertiveness consistently finds association with better psychological well-being. Assertiveness also lowers your stress and improves your self-respect. It gives you better relationship quality. And then guess what? It reduces your emotion exhaustion. Because one of the reasons many good men struggle mentally is because they never learned healthy assertiveness. They learn compliance. They learn accommodation. They learn people pleasing. But tonight, I want us to learn to how to say no. And even by you saying no, that doesn't mean that you're not a good man. Want us to learn to say no without guilt, without apology, without negotiation. Want us to have the ability to establish boundaries as the strongest predictors of our emotional well-being. In other words, brothers, the healthier your boundaries become, the healthier your mental health often becomes. And I am a proven example of this. I am. Let's listen to this clip right here.
Be a bitch. Seriously. Nice for what? Being the nice one just gets you played. It gets you drained. It gets you misused and completely fucking abused by people who do not care about you. They will smile in your face. They will take your time. They will drain your resources. And the second you need them, they disappear like fucking ghosts. Make them earn your niceness. Make them earn your trust. Make them beg for your fucking attention. If they aren't adding value, if they aren't matching your energy, then what the fuck are we playing nice for? I am not saying go out there and be a disrespectful menace, but stop overgiving, stop overcaring, and stop bleeding yourself dry for motherfuckers who simply do not deserve it. You train people how to treat you. Stop handing out VIP access to parasites. If you are absolutely done with pathetic people leeching your energy, hit that follow button right now. Your era of being a fucking doormat is finally over.
It's over, gentlemen. It is over. By you coming over here to the lounge, it is over for you. Because no longer you're going to be a doormat. No longer you're going to allow people to just manipulate and use you because you being a nice guy. No longer you're going to fall for this bullshit. A matter of fact, the lesson is that doing what is right will not always make you popular. Okay. A matter of fact, I just thought about this. There's a scripture in the Bible. It's I believe it's Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, if I'm not mistaken. It's simply saying, am I trying to win the approval of human beings, or am I trying to win the approval of God? Once again, am I trying to win the approval of human beings, or am I trying to win the approval of God? Which one am I trying to do? I'm trying to win the approval of God. Because to me, winning the approval of God is way more beneficial than trying to win the approval of people. A matter of fact, that verse, it challenged me. The reason why it challenged me is because for years, I was chasing after approval. I was chasing after approval from people, from my past relationships, from environments, from situations. But I eventually had to ask myself, am I doing this because it's right? Or am I doing this because I want to be liked? Because mature man understands that truth matters more than popularity. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my life was assuming that everybody deserves my trust. But in reality, they don't. Trust should not be freely given. It definitely should be earned. And I learned that the hard way. One of the most important things I learned is this. Everybody receives observation before access. Everybody. It don't matter who it is. It don't matter if it's your friends, family, relationship, business partners, associates, everybody. So in other words, stop evaluating people by what they say. Evaluate them by their character, their consistency, their accountability, them giving you receiving everything. Loyalty, integrity. That's how you evaluate them. Because check this out, many men conduct job interviews more carefully than relationships. And I want y'all to think about it. Once again, many men conduct job interviews more carefully than relationship interviews. Yes, you should be interviewing each other. That's the whole point about vetting. We scrutinize people more carefully before hiring them than we do before giving them access to our lives. Y'all know that? When you go, I made this analogy before on my other streams, right? But I had the opportunity to be a recruiter, right? So I was responsible for hiring people. And so my whole job was to literally scrutinize people. In other words, to see if they qualify for the type of position that they're applying for. I had to examine their resume. I had to give them open-ended questions to make sure that they qualify. I had to do everything possible to make sure that they are a good fit for the position. But yet and still, we do not do that with relationships. We don't even vet out each other. We don't even do that. Which we should do that. Gentlemen, in this modern day time right now, is it not true that the women are doing this to us? Where they make it seem like that we got to qualify for them. Isn't that not true of what they do? But in reality, it should be the other way around. The reason why is because we are men. We are the gatekeepers of relationships, not them. Now, they are the gatekeepers of sex and reproduction and different things like that. Absolutely. But we are the gatekeepers of relationships, not the other way around. So we are the one who's supposed to be interviewing them and making sure they qualify for who? Not them, but they should be qualifying for us. That's where we need to get back to, gentlemen. But you can't be that way if you is trying to be the good guy or try to be the good man. Gentlemen, they got to change. It got to change. Final clip for tonight, y'all. Listen up.
The stage I'm at in life right now, man, is if I can't benefit from it, I can't do it.
Say what's up with it, brother.
Like, I done spent 2
Gio,
years
what's up?
of my life showing up for people without expecting anything in return. Just getting used and used and used in one way or another. Like, that's over. If I can't benefit from it, I can't do it. Simple as that. Like, some of us are just too giving. Some of us are just too nice, too kind. And we constantly get taken advantage of by people who are not. Right? And you moving based out of the kindness of your heart whole time. They moving with an ulterior motive. They just bleeding you dry, using you and using you and using you until ain't nothing left. That's over with. That's over. It ain't no more kindness in my heart. It ain't no more none of that. If I can't benefit from it, I can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Gentlemen, and one of the greatest freedoms I experience is no longer needing permission to be myself. Now, this ain't nothing arrogant. It's not nothing reckless nor disrespectful. It's authentic, gentlemen. The reason why is because for years I worried about how people would respond, how people would react, how people would perceive me. But eventually I realized something. No matter what you do, somebody is going to misunderstand you. Somebody's going to criticize you. Somebody is going to definitely disagree with you. So you might as well just be yourself. You might as well just speak your truth. You might as well stand on your convictions. You might as well just protect your values. You might as well protect your peace. Might as well just do it. Because the right people will respect it. But the wrong people will resent it. But either way, gentlemen, either way, the truth becomes visible. Now, most of our brothers don't need to become nicer. We don't need to become colder. We need to become harder to manipulate. Once again, we need to become harder to manipulate. I often say this on this channel too, that yes, women are indeed master manipulators. But even though they're master manipulators, we should be mastering the cure so we won't be manipulated. And this is because the moment a man develops discipline, discernment, self-respect, boundaries, and spiritual convictions, he often becomes the villain to people who benefit from his weakness. And I want to let y'all know that that's good. Let them tell the story. Because you have a life to build, not them. You have a purpose to fulfill, not them. You definitely have a future and a legacy to protect. So why not do it? You know, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about if I could sit down with my younger version of myself, what would I tell myself? What would I say? Because I know that I can't change the past, but, you know, I just think about this. Here's what I would tell my younger self if I literally have a conversation with my younger self. I would say, stop volunteering yourself to people who haven't earned access. I will also say, stop trying to convince people to value you. I'll also say to stop chasing for approval. I'll also say stop explaining boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding you. I'll also say stop believing that sacrifice automatically means loyalty. And I would say this, stop confusing being needed with being respected. One of the most powerful exercises I ever learned was conducting relationship audits. And I told y'all about this before. Those of y'all who follow the channel, I mentioned this before. It's on conducting relationship audits. As a matter of fact, I gave y'all an example of this. I told y'all that what me and my current wife do right now, what we do, we do evaluations where we'll come together every month and we do evaluation. We'll check on each other. We'll have a conversation with each other and ask, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the relationship? How do you feel about my performance of being your husband? And I tell her how I feel about her performance of being a wife. And I told y'all the reason why we do these audits is because we want to make sure that we're still on the same page. Because yes, life happens. life definitely happens where something will happen where you end up becoming misaligned for whatever crazy reason. But the thing about it is that people don't catch it until it's too late. So that's why I was encouraging y'all, those of y'all who want to be in a relationship, or you may be in a relationship right now, that I would encourage y'all to do these relationship audits where you do an evaluation and you just have these conversations with each other to make sure that y'all still in alignment with each other. And if anything changes or any situation that happened or any unresolved situations have happened that need to be addressed. Because if you don't do that, then that's when the relationship end up failing. That's when you end up entering into the irreconcilable differences. I want y'all to want to ask yourself this. What do they receive from you? And what do you receive from them? And I'm not talking about something emotionally. I'm talking about something factually, objectively, honestly. Because some relationships survive on that audit, but others don't. And guess what? It's okay. Because the truth is valuable even when it's uncomfortable, gentlemen. But this is one of the hardest lessons for me. One of the hardest lessons that healthy men disappoint people. Not selfishly, but intentionally. And some people need to hear no. Without explanation, without gift, without negotiation. Because people who respect your boundaries usually respect you. And people who become angry about your boundaries often reveals why those boundaries were needed to be in the first place. I'm going to give y'all another example. Me being a father, right? I be telling my kids no, just to be telling them no. It be certain situational things that they ask me for, right? And sometimes I tell them no simply because I'm telling them no. But it's a reason behind I do that. It's a strategy behind why I do that. The reason why I do that is because I'm setting boundaries. I'm teaching them that in life, as you get older, you're going to run into opportunities where the answer is going to be no. And you have to learn to process that no. Especially dealing with younger men. Because sometimes, even with our younger men, they don't know how to process the no. They don't know how to process the rejection. But it's up to us as parents to teach them that. That's the reason why I tell them no. While they experiencing this rejection from me, I'm also educating them and I'm teaching them how to process this no, process this emotion. And guess what happened? They eventually end up respecting me even more. Same concept with my wife. There be things, opportunities where I literally tell her no. Nope. Not to be disrespectful, but it's a no. And guess what? She do the same thing with me. She'll tell me no. But guess what? We respect each other. Not everybody deserves front row access to your life, gentlemen. You need to create levels. And this applies for anybody. Whether it's acquaintances, friends, inner circles, family, it doesn't matter. That trust should slowly rise. Not instant, but it should be earned. You also have to have the willingness to speak the truth too. You have to be able to have the willingness to confront problems and protect boundaries and lead toxic situations and to defend your peace and to enforce consequences. Gentlemen, we don't need more kindness, to be honest with you. We don't need more quote unquote good men. What we need is more courage from us. That's what we need. We need to stop seeking validation. We need to stop that. We need to stop trying to ask these crazy questions. Do you like me? Circle yes or no. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Need to start asking, do I respect the man that I'm becoming? Once again, you need to start asking yourself, do I respect the man that I'm becoming? And the reason why this is important is because this question literally changed my life. And the reason why is because it shifts my focus away from external approval and towards internal integrity. Now, gentlemen, when I look back at my life, right, I don't regret being a good man. What I regret are the times I abandoned myself trying to prove to be a good man. I don't want to regret helping people, but I regret helping people who repeatedly showed me that they didn't value what was being given to them. I don't regret loving people, but I do regret ignoring the red flags because I wanted to believe the best. I don't regret serving others, but I regret sacrificing my own well-being in situations that lack respect and accountability. Some of these experiences hurt for real, brothers. Some of them disappointed me. Yes, some of them made me angry as well too. But some of them forced me to rebuild parts of myself. And it taught me lessons I probably couldn't have learned in any other way. It taught me about discernment and about boundaries and about self-respect and about accountability. And ultimately, it helped shape the framework that I be teaching on this channel still to this day. Because these lessons isn't to become cold, right? Or to be cruel or bitter or to stop caring, right? The lessons is to become disciplined enough to protect your purpose, gentlemen. Disciplined enough to protect your peace and disciplined enough to protect your mental health. Because being a good man isn't dangerous. Being a good man without boundaries is dangerous, gentlemen. Being a good man without discernment is dangerous. Being a good man without self-respect is dangerous. And that's the lesson I learned. I learned it in the hard way, but I did learn it. And maybe That's the lesson some of you need to hear tonight. Hopefully my experience with dealing with this, it will help many of you gentlemen to move forward, where you could literally be the good man that you're destined to be, not be the good man that people want you to be. So other than that, gentlemen, that's all I got for this particular episode. Appreciate y'all tuning in to this particular episode. Gio says this: respect is so important and it is basic common sense, but the lack of respect from people these days are so disappointing. Shows family values are not valued, and I agree with that. That's dope, Urban. Glad you found a woman like that. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate that. I will stop trying to please those that do not do anything for you and focus on you. Be selfish or your kindness will destroy you by irrelevant burns. Facts. I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. But other than that, appreciate y'all tuning into this particular episode. Once again, I hope this episode give you a different perspective on, how to deal with this good man thing. All right. So other than that, appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all tune in for my other one podcast episode as well too. Make sure you have your notifications set when I go live. All right. So y'all won't miss this great information that I'm sharing with you. Okay. Make sure you also go back and check out my shorts as well too, because I drop shorts every day. All right, so make sure you go back and check the shorts and check my community posts. Oh, last but not least, I keep forgetting this. Okay, I have my members turned on. All right, so if you're interested in becoming a member of this channel, by all means, go ahead and sub up and become a member of this channel if you desire that. All right, it is available. The more members I get, the more I can have membership lives where you could call in and I'll be giving you good information to help better you as a man. Okay? So check that out. Appreciate y'all, and y'all have a great and wonderful night, and I will see you again on the next episode.